Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Siobhan. If you're new here, welcome. I wanted to write a blog post about my heart update, exactly what I'm going to say in this video, and I started to write it, but it was just so many things I wanted to just get out in the blog. I just couldn't. I feel like my brain was just going faster than I could type, so I figured why not just make a video, and this is just an update. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I shared about a month ago that a little backstory. I do have heart failure and I am waiting for a heart transplant. So a heart was available for me, and I got the call on Super Bowl Sunday. I've been on the list since 2019, and this was the first call that I've ever received. My doctor told me that they had offers for me, but they did not like it, so it didn't even get down to a point where I got a call and I was actually like getting ready to go to the hospital to get it done. So Super Bowl Sunday, I woke up in the morning, my husband started cooking, and I was still in bed because I like to sleep in. I was still in bed, and my husband went to the store to get some more things to make for Super Bowl, and my phone rang, and it's a lady from the heart transplant she's a heart transplant coordinator. She's the one who reaches out to the patients who are on the list, and if there's a heart available, she'll contact them, give them the instructions. And she called me, and I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe what I was hearing. I thought it was a dream because it's been such a long time since I've been waiting, and I instantly panicked. I became so scared, so nervous. And she's like, this is a good thing. It's what you've been waiting for. Yes, it's what I've been waiting for, but I never anticipate how that moment is going to feel when it arrives, and it did. And even talking about it, it's just so, the emotions that I went through. So after some back and forth questions that I had for her, she couldn't tell me like much information about the donor. Was all that the only information she could share was that it was a match, and I have high antibodies, and it was compatible, or whatever the test is that they do. So she asked me what I wanted to do, because these decisions have to be made in like right away. There was no like, okay, I'll call you back during the week to let you know. No, it's like, do you want this heart? Yes, get to the hospital right away. So I got off the phone with her, and I called my husband. I said, I need to come back home right now. He came home, we spoke about it. I just started bawling. I couldn't contain the tears. I was just so emotional and overwhelmed. I spoke to my sister, my mom, my mother-in-law. It was just such an emotional feeling and thing to go through, to know that, all right, you're going to now have a new heart. You're going to have a surgery in the next few hours. I wasn't prepared, because you just don't know when it's going to happen when you're waiting. I put some things aside, like some pajamas, socks, undies, toiletries, and stuff that I think that I would need after the surgery, and packed a bag. But I figured I wouldn't really need the bag like initially, but I packed a small bag anyway. And printed out some papers at home to make sure my husband printed out some papers that I needed my husband to have, make sure he knows all the passwords, logins, made arrangements for my kids, made arrangements for my daughter with all of her activities that she does. Just wanted to make sure that, you know, someone is available to take her to and from. I have a really good group of women in my life, and I'm super grateful for them. Not family, but friends that I've met along since I've moved where we live, and our girls are in Girl Scout together. Our kids go to the same school, so I have that support. And you know, everyone was like ready to jump in action and, you know, help out where I needed it. So a few hours passed. I was still in the house, dragging my feet, because I figured the longer I took, maybe it wouldn't happen. As much as I want this, because I'm tired of feeling tired. I'm exhausted, and my heart is so weak. I just don't know, you know, how much longer am I gonna have with this heart. And I don't want my heart to get really bad all of a sudden, and then I'm in the hospital really sick and waiting for a transplant. So as much as I want this, I was also very scared, and figured I would delay it a little bit, delay by just moving really slow. I did what I had to do, hugged my kids, cried and cried and cried. Not that it was a cry like a goodbye, but I was just so scared. And I still feel those emotions. I still feel how I felt. It's like it sits right here, and it plays in my head over and over, almost daily. So we went to the hospital, and my husband was there with me. We did a whole bunch of blood work. Like, they took half the blood out of my body, and signed so many papers. I signed the paper to take this particular anti-rejection medication during the surgery. Oh my God, the side effects scared the crap out of me, but it's either like deal with the side effects or run the risk of my body rejecting the organ once it's transplanted. And we were there for a while, did all we had to do to prep, and then we made our way downstairs to the operating room. So the operating room, I said my goodbyes to my husband. I said, not a goodbye, I said, see you later. I was just so scared. I was just like, please, as soon as I got in the operating room, I was like, please give me some Xanax, something. They ended up giving me some like Demerol or something to kind of like take the edge off, because I was just like freaking out. I was freaking out, but I was brave, because I was like, all right, let's do this. This is what's gonna happen, you know, tomorrow when I wake up. This is the start of my new life. It's not a cure to having heart failure. It's just a different treatment, and it comes with its whole list of challenges sometimes. But I I want to do things with my family. I want to not be tired. I want to leave the country. And I just don't want to be tired all the time. So we're in the operating room, getting all prepped up, got everything prepped. IVs are in. They put a central line. So this little scar here, that's the central line that they put in. So it had like a tube that goes down straight to my heart, and if medications is needed or whatever numbers they need, they get it from there. So we were there. I was laying down, in and out, like a twilight zone. And eventually I fell asleep. They told me, all right, we're gonna put you to sleep. So they put me to sleep, and then I woke up. Don't know how long I woke up, but I woke up. I was in the ICU, and then I woke up and I had like the tubes in my throat. And I woke up, I'm like, okay, tubes are in, did it happen? And then I was like, I don't feel, I've had 2 open heart surgeries. I think I kind of know that feeling of when you've been cut open. My upper body felt fine. I did not feel any discomfort because I did like this. My eyes are closed, choking on the tubes. I'm like, oh, why I'm like, did they do such a good job? And woke up, started choking. The nurses ran over, like, all right, calm down. We're going to take the tubes out. Took the tubes out. And those tubes, trigger warning, that's the worst thing ever, because when you take it out, you throw up all over the place. But whatever they put to contain it, it's just like, you take it out, throw up, everything just disappears. It was like nothing. And I did this. I'm like, oh, what happened? And one of the ICU nurse, he came over and he was like, yeah, I don't know if he was supposed to say anything or not. He was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what happened? He was like, oh, they didn't tell you yet? I'm like, I just got up. And he was like, oh, something with the plane didn't make it. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, say you're joking. Like, please, I know this isn't a joking matter, but say you're joking. And about 20 minutes later, my surgeon walked in, and he was like, yeah, the plane had some mechanical issues. It couldn't take off. We waited very long, because I was in the operating room before I went to sleep for a long time, because I kept looking up at the time. And he was like, unfortunately, it never made it. And I was like, is this? And I was like, wow, is this like a once in a lifetime situation? Like, is this ever happened before? And they said they had issues where a heart doesn't make it to the hospital for whatever reason, car accidents, things, the car doesn't work if it's being transported by car. So that was the story of the first unsuccessful heart transplant. The heart never made it to the hospital, and I went home the next day. They put me to like a less critical unit after that. And I lived with that reliving of what's going to happen, what happened, not what's going to happen, of what happened, and the what ifs, and what if I had gotten the heart, XYZ. And it felt like, it's like a loss. I was kind of like grieving. It's weird. I felt like I lost the opportunity, and it's really sad. I am taking it really, really hard. So that was that. A month later, and this is the part that it's been eating me up. I It's been sitting on me. It's just like a burden. I haven't written about it in my journal. So everything is in my head. And I feel like this is kind of me like letting it out. So it happened again, March 3rd, Sunday, March 3rd. My husband and I was laying in the bed. We got another phone call. Another heart was available for me. And we went through the same prep. Grandma and grandpa came over like they did the first time. Friends sprung into action. Some of them went to go pick up my Girl Scout cookies and started delivering my orders for me because I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to be back. This time, I didn't cry. None of the way. I didn't cry at home. I didn't cry on my way there. I didn't cry in the hospital. I felt so ready. I was ready for this. I was ready to get this second heart. After going through that experience, I'm like, okay, this is the redemption. And we went to the hospital, same procedure, same blood work, prep, everything, went to the OR. And this time they didn't put me out. I was in like a little twilight zone, had some medication, so I was feeling really good. And I was like, it's taken a very long time. I know the heart was local, so it didn't have to fly from anywhere. It had to be driven. And I took a little nap, and then I felt like things started getting pulled off of my head. So you have these little things all over you. I feel the tape coming off. I'm like, why are you taking things off of me? Shouldn't things be putting on? And she was like, sweetie, the surgery's canceled. And I was like, I dropped like this. And then my surgeon, he came in and he was like, you know, he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, he was like, the way he said it, the disappointment in his voice, and like he just felt so bad for me. He was like, I'm so sorry, but the heart, the final inspection was like examining the heart after it comes out of the donor, because prior to the donor passing away and the heart getting taken out, no one knows the full anatomy or any real issues of the heart. You can only go by what little scans you have. And just keep in mind that the donor, it's not like they were planning to donate the organ or prepping and having results about the specific anatomy of their heart, just basic tests, I guess. So he said the heart this time was too big. So my heart right now is very enlarged. I have a very enlarged heart because of my mitral valve prolapse many years ago. My heart kind of overworked itself. My heart became very stretched out. My muscles are stretched out, so my heart is enlarged, but it's stretched out and very weak. So in a sense, I do have the capacity to have maybe a heart that's a little bit bigger than, an average size. But he said that, on further examination, they decided not to go ahead with the heart because they would have to, it's just not enough space. And he said, I'm not going to stuff a heart inside of your body. It's just not, he was not comfortable with the measurements and everything. So he said it was a no. So I went to the ICU and everything was in. This is the second scar right here. It's still healing. It still hurt and it still has a scab on it. And while I was there, I had to get a right heart cath in a couple weeks. I'm like, can you guys just do the right heart cath so I don't have to come back in like a few weeks? And it was like, sure. So from this line, they were able to get the numbers they were looking for. So came home the next day and rested then I went back to work and continued with my life. So I shouldn't say failed transplant, 2 unsuccessful transplants, and in 2 months. This is how my year started. And I understand now that things happen. I'm in the heart transplant group, and I posted about my dry runs, they call it. And one lady said she was going to get her transplant. Once they took the heart out of the donor, they saw that the donor had valve disease, something they wouldn't have known. Another person said it was snowing and the plane couldn't take off from where it was. So there are things that may come up to prevent a surgery from going through successfully. So I don't know if this is any indication of how soon I may get another offer, having one month apart. But mentally, I think I'm ready. But I'm also very scared of it happening again and it's not successful, because it's a very emotional thing to go through. I am like emotionally drained. And even though I didn't cry the second time, I was like going in there like, ready, let's go. It really, I don't know what the emotion that I'm feeling. I want to say it's almost like I'm grieving, but it is really hard. I am emotionally drained. Having gone through these 2 scenarios a month apart, where I was just kind of like maybe feeling okay with the first failed transplant, and then for it to happen again, it's just emotionally overwhelming. And I'm not looking at it in a negative way, like, oh, I didn't get a heart twice, maybe I'm not going to get a heart. No, I'm not even looking at it like that, because I do understand that things happen and these are just the circumstances around my situation, which are none of my fault. But I know it will come when the time is ready. And the first one, even though I'm still replaying everything, and it's like I'm reliving these moments over and over in my head. When the first one didn't happen, I really was kind of relieved because I was so scared. But then when I'm processing everything, I'm like, oh my God, I was about to get a heart transplant. And I think that, the heart being such a vital organ in your body, and knowing that this is such a big surgery, it just kind of scared the crap out of me. So that's my story. I don't know if I feel better. Maybe I will in like a few hours or tomorrow when I wake up. But I just wanted to share that there was another heart for me a month later, and it was just not successful. So the bright heart will come, and I will talk about it, and I'm going to start a new chapter in my life with a new heart. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.